This week, we're in Los Angeles, California, where someone here will have their personal treasure selected for display at the National Geographic Museum in Washington, D.C.
Is this potentially John Wilkes Booth's spur?
Wow.
Alexander Graham Bell was in this building.
I think we need to do some digging here.
Well, this is exciting, proving it's another story.
I'm Curt Doussett.
I'm Kinga Phillipps. Yeah! We're searching the country for items with fascinating history.
This is George Washington's actual signature.
This was possibly made by Thomas Edison. This is the gun that killed Alexander Hamilton.
And objects with unexpected value.
Between $20,000 and $25,000.
Oh my God.
$80,000.
The object that most belongs in a museum is...
We're on the hunt for America's lost treasures.
We invited people from all over Southern California to bring their personal artifacts to the Autry National Center, a museum that celebrates and captures the spirit of the great American West.
We're teaming up with experts Richard Mall and Caroline Brucken and local appraiser Jamie Carbancho to determine which of these objects belong in a museum.
We're very excited to be here, you bet, and to share this prize with the world, really.
My great-great-grandmother was in Ford's Theater when Lincoln was assassinated. So we've been wanting to know, did this belong to John Wilkes Booth?
These are Indian stickball sticks. I do have a true American treasure.
Hello everyone, welcome to America's Lost Treasures. Thanks for coming out here today to the Autry National Center here in Los Angeles. Kinga and I are going to take a look at the items that you've brought in.
Now, Curt and I will each be selecting 3 items for further investigation, and then at the end of the week, one of you will be chosen to share your item with the world at the National Geographic Museum in Washington, D.C.
Giddy up! All right.
Those are beautiful. What are they?
I know they're called picture buttons, and they're from, I think, the late 1800s. And I was in a button club with all these like little grandmas that I went to every week. So I brought these to the club, and they like freaked out, and they were like, "Oh, these are worth so much."
How many buttons do you have right now?
I don't know. I haven't counted. There's
A
like
lot?
thousands of them, though. Yeah.
And these are kind of the gems of your
I think those
collection.
are the gems. At least that's what the grandmas told me. So.
Our experts tell me that authentic picture buttons can be worth as much as $250 a piece. But they're fairly common, so I'm gonna keep looking.
Tell me what you have.
This is Jack London's writing tablet. Jack London became famous for writing the book Call of the Wild, and this is his dog Buck. And Arthur Putnam was a famous animal sculptor, so when he wrote the book, Arthur Putnam carved this for Jack London. When he passed away, his wife, Charmian London, he had these bronze plaques affixed to the surface so no other author could ever use it to write on.
You seem to have a lot of information here. What don't you know, and what would you like to find out?
I don't know how this was arranged with Jack London. We've got some of the pieces of the puzzle, but most of it's missing.
Okay, so why it was given to him by Arthur Putnam? I mean, there's a lot of questions there that we can go after and find out. I think this is a really cool piece. I've never seen anything like this. Jack London is an icon of American literature. He wrote over 50 books, including classics like Call of the Wild and White Fang. If I can confirm the connection between London and Arthur Putnam, this could be a huge find.
This is the poster from 1940.
Territorial blackout, enemy planes.
You know, a lot of people think the bombing of Pearl Harbor was a surprise, but this would, show that they had been preparing all along.
Wow. I'm hoping that a little help from expert Jamie Carbancho can shed some light on the subject.
Oh, this is a really nice piece. It's very neat to see one from Hawaii. This is the first one I've ever seen from Hawaii.
Really?
So during this time period, there were actually a lot of scheduled blackouts throughout the country. They would post signs. It would be very well advertised, and you were required to turn out all the lights in your house. If you were on the coast, you would have to turn out all the lights on the coast because they didn't want enemy boats who were parked further back to see boats closer to the shore. So everything had to go out.
So the idea was just to be as invisible to the enemy as possible.
Exactly. They were very, very serious about it. If you were to put it in auction, because it's Hawaii, maybe we're in like the $300, maybe $400 range.
Pretty incredible for a poster, but I'm going to keep looking.
All right, now you have a stack of license plates. Tell me a little bit about where you got them and why.
When I was a kid, I got a book from my parents, and it was 50 free things you could send away for. And I just love license plates and the slogans on them. So I wrote to every state, and not everyone wrote me back. But the ones that did sent me these really cool plates, and they're all samples. So they don't have the normal random numbers that most license plates have.
Are these things people look
License
for?
plates are very, very collectible. And not just United States license plates. One sold in Abu Dhabi for $14.3 million.
License plate?
It was the number one. They have a system where theirs is all numbers, and the guy wanted to be number one.
Wow. I would also like to be number one. That's why I'm not picking these plates for my treasure.
I would put most of them in like the $15 to $50 range.
Beautiful arrowheads. Thank you. Did you find them yourselves?
My grandpa did.
Well, what I brought for you today are two different pieces of American currency that show American history. A 1786 bond, a $3 bond from the Massachusetts Bay State. This helped to furnish the money that was needed to pay for our Revolutionary War soldiers. And it was allowed to be turned in for 3 Spanish milled dollars, which would have been in gold. This was purchased after the Civil War to help children rebuild their own financial futures.
Well, these are awesome.
So both of these were part of American history and helped people economically build this great country of ours.
Our experts say that these are worth about $150 a piece, but I'm going to keep looking.
That is quite the nugget in there.
Isn't it beautiful?
And there's some gold on the sides as well. That is beautiful.
About 2 years ago, I bought an archive at an auction that was just marked Gold Mining Archive. And in an envelope that was yet to be opened, there was this letter and the ring along with it. I read the letter and saw that it had the name General Sutter in it.
So this is a very exciting find.
Yes, it was. And the letter explains that he'd like to donate this ring to Mr. Upham if Mr. Upham would write a song that commemorates all that John Sutter did for the gold mining and America.
And the idea is that these gold nuggets are probably from Sutter's Mill.
That's the conclusion that we'd like you to make.
The discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill in 1848 ushered in the California Gold Rush. It's a big claim, and I'm going to need the help of curator Carolyn Brucken to sift it out.
Beautiful ring.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Gold was discovered on John Sutter's land in January 1848. It sparked gold fever that both transformed not just California, but the nation. Over 4 years, 300,000 people migrated to California. People at the time were very aware of being part of a momentous event. And so these kind of presentation pieces, you do actually find is a wonderful way of people kind of marking this life-changing moment.
Mm-hmm. So what we need is that final piece that would connect this ring to the mine. My father's a geologist, and I know that this is something that they've done. There are trace minerals in even something like this, in the gold nuggets, that can identify the region that it came from. If we could prove that this was a ring with gold from Sutter's mine that belonged to Sutter, this would be a hugely significant historical piece, correct?
It would be.
I'm staking a claim on this one.
This is a fossil. It looks really, really cool. What is this?
This is a dolphin. This is the skull region, and then this is the rostrum, the snout of the dolphin that goes out this way.
And then the blowholes right here.
Yeah, there's the blowholes right there.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah, I've never seen a dolphin skull before. Where did this come from?
It comes from an area up in Bakersfield called Shark's Tooth Hill.
This dolphin came from Bakersfield?
That's right. In the Miocene period, which was, the ocean came in and then receded out and left all these fossils, and it's like the largest assemblage of fossils in the world of that time period, marine fossils. Yeah, it's a very famous bone bed. It's world famous, actually.
All right, now has anyone taken a look at this to classify it, find out exactly how old it is or what kind of dolphin it is?
No, we have not had any professionals look at it yet, but I would like to. I'd like to know what species it is of dolphin and get a date as well.
Bakersfield, California is more than 100 miles from the coast. It's amazing that this desert town was once underwater. I definitely want to learn more about this fossil. Do you think this is something that belongs in the museum?
I do. I definitely do.
I'd love to find out if it does.
This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Is it a family heirloom?
I was told that it's my great-great-grandfather. He was a drummer in the Civil War, and his name is on the front, William P. Wilson.
Do we know where, what region, what division?
That's one thing I would love to find out is what division he was in and from what state.
Have you ever had this drum looked at, authenticated in any way?
No, I haven't.
So this could be a first. This is really exciting.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to finding out anything about it that we can.
I love a good mystery, but this one is going to take an expert. And conservator Richard Mall is the man for the job.
Well, it certainly looks the part, that's for sure. It has the age to it. I mean, you can see that it has seen a life. It's been used. The way the wood is actually put together and how it's beveled here and then slid together, that's very much over time.
Oh, I see.
What I would really like to do is get it down to the lab.
Really?
To do some more analysis on it.
That would be wonderful.
And that will help us determine not so much the exact date, but it'll give us more clues as to find out exactly when this was made and when it was used.
In the Civil War, drum beats were used to send orders, sound alarms, or even call for retreat. Authenticating this drum could give Lorraine and her family some answers. And me, my next treasure.
This is actually a lamp off the battleship Maine. In February of 1898, this battleship was sunk in the Havana harbor. Congress wanted the ship brought back up and given a decent burial to the men who were on that ship.
The battleship was in the harbor to remind Spain of America's interest in protecting Cuba. The sinking of the Maine was one of the events that led to the Spanish-American War. And this particular lantern was on the battleship?
That's correct, yes.
It's a great piece of history, but I'm going to keep looking.
It's hurting my arm. It's a heavy piece.
It's called a trapdoor rifle. They went from the 11th Regiment in Michigan all the way down into Tennessee. They traveled maybe 1,000 miles round trip carrying this and the sword and your pack and under pretty extreme conditions.
The bayonet attaches.
Yeah, it comes off and slides on the other way and locks on.
Intended for brutal combat.
Hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, wow. It's a heavy piece with a heavy price tag. Our experts tell me that Civil War guns in this condition can go for as much as $10,000 at auction. But without a specific connection to a person or battle, I'm gonna have to pass.
My great-great-grandmother was at Ford's Theater when Lincoln was assassinated.
What? No.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Very serious. She was 16 at the time.
Okay.
And after all the mayhem that happened, unfortunately, with the presidents and so on, they're leaving, and she sees this spur. So she picked it up. Knowing the history that John Wilkes Booth got tripped up by his spur, the question that our family has always raised, is this potentially John Wilkes Booth's spur?
Wow. We're at the Autry National Center in Los Angeles on the hunt for America's lost treasures.
The question that our family has always raised, is this potentially John Wilkes Booth's spur?
Wow. So you think this could have possibly belonged to John Wilkes Booth?
We do believe that. When you think about it with people who went to the theater, gentlemen typically didn't wear spurs.
It's a great story, but will it pass the scrutiny of an expert? Jamie?
Well, he was missing a spur that night. I mean, at least no one has found it. It's basically, he broke his leg, and that night, or the next day, he went to a surgeon, and he had to actually cut off his boot and remove the other spur that he had in order to perform the surgery. Basically, the boot and the spur were then donated to Ford's Theater Museum, that you can go and actually see the other spur.
Okay.
The unfortunate part is that the spur does not look anything like this one.
It doesn't. Okay.
It does not. It was more regulation Civil War spur.
Okay.
It was very simple, plain brass spur.
Okay.
This one is very English looking. This is too fancy for what probably would match the spur at the museum. I mean, it is of the period, which is cool.
Right, that's the piece, and we've wanted to know.
All right, so Jamie, we know that this did not belong to John Wilkes Booth. If something like this came up at auction, what would somebody pay for something like this?
Probably in the neighborhood of $50 to $75. Again, single spurs are not really worth all that much money.
Talk about your letdowns. If this was real, it could have been a contender.
Aren't these interesting?
They are so interesting, but I have to tell you, I have no idea what they are.
They're Indian stickball sticks. They were used to settle disputes. So if an Indian was fishing in the wrong territory, they would send a brave to the other tribe and say, you know, you're invading my territory, we need to settle this dispute. So they would set up this game, and according to the documentation, sometimes men would be killed because they were so brutal with it.
So a game used to settle disputes that ended with head bashing. How did you get these?
My great-grandfather was an interpreter for the Indians. According to the documentation, he played a game and he had a scar on his forehead from playing this game.
Think.
Exactly.
Your great-grandfather must have been very trusted.
He immigrated from Scotland and walked to the Indian Territory. Lived on the reservation from what I can gather. Married an Indian woman. He translated for the government, and there was supposed to be another game played. And what happened is the government got wind of it, and because the game was so brutal, that they stopped it.
So these games are outlawed.
Yes.
It sounds like lacrosse meets ultimate fighting. If we can learn more about the game and determine which tribe made the sticks, this could be a real treasure.
My great-great-grandfather, Daniel McGarrigle IV, was awarded this medal by the United States Centennial Commission.
Ooh, it's heavy. Who is that on there? Do you know?
That is the allegorical Lady America. And on the back is the inscription that says it was awarded by the United States Centennial Commission in the year 1876. And we know that he was a carpenter, and we know that he had something to do with building the buildings of the Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia. What I don't know is a whole lot of information about the exposition.
He sounds like an important guy to have earned something like this.
Well, to me he was.
I think we need to do some digging here.
Okay.
What do you say?
I'd love it.
The 1876 Centennial Exposition was a massive 6-month celebration of American culture and ingenuity, and marked this nation's emergence as a world power. If Daniel's great-great-grandfather helped make this happen, his medal absolutely deserves to be in a museum. Time is up. Thanks for coming in, I appreciate it. Kinga and I have checked out everything here today, and we've each chosen our top 3. Art, science, literature, I got all the bases covered. I've got Jack London's writing tablet, an incredible marine fossil, and a medal from the Centennial Exposition.
There's gold in them there hills. I've got a chunk of Sutter's gold, a Civil War drum, and Native American stickball sticks. Let the games begin.
Now it's time to investigate these items further and find out which one is America's lost treasure.
At the open call, Lorraine brought in a gold ring with what could be an incredible history.
John Sutter is supposed to be the one who put the ring together, and I've been wondering for a long time if it actually did come from Sutter's mill.
I'm headed to a geochemical research lab to find out if the gold in this ring really did come from the claim that started the California gold rush. So let me tell you what brought me all the way to Reno. There's a woman named Lorraine Cords who purchased all this mining documentation. In the documentation that she had, she found this ring and then this letter was in there as well. The letter has been identified as being written by General John Sutter.
Can I peek at the documents?
Yes, absolutely. Fred Holabird is an expert on the history of the California gold rush. If anyone can tell me if this ring is legit, it's him.
Well, this is exciting. This does look like Sutter's handwriting. He talks about how California's gold redeemed half a hemisphere and saved America from bankruptcy. If those could be proven to be from Sutter's mill, that ring is worth over $10,000.
Really?
But proving it's another story. What we're starting to see are real documents like this that actually tell you about a ring. And on the basis of what it says here, we're starting to see people make this stuff and
Fraudulent
say this real documents, fraudulent piece, and trying to sell the two together. That becomes scary. So let's look at these gold nuggets. Well, this is exciting.
Now,
this does look like Sutter's handwriting.
I'm at a geochemical research lab, and I'm hoping to prove that this ring is connected to the California gold discovery that changed history.
He talks about how California's gold redeemed half a hemisphere and saved America from bankruptcy.
The letter checks out. But what about the gold itself?
Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to mount this onto a conductive surface and put it inside of the sample chamber, bombard it with high-speed electrons, and produce images on the computer screen. This just slides out. Place this as straight up as we can. And in a few minutes, we'll be able to image.
While we wait for the image, Fred's got an example of a natural nugget that will be the basis of the comparison.
This one is a natural gold nugget from the central mother lode region. And we see the silver peaks in here, and in the refined gold, all this is gone. It's all nice level field.
This is showing 91% gold and 8% silver.
Mother Nature always has some impurity in there. She doesn't make it pure. So that's what it looks like from California, just like that.
Now that we've established what a real nugget should look like, it's time to put Lorraine's ring to the test.
There's our ring. We use different detectors to display different characteristics of the sample. The darker stuff is dirt and carbon and calcium. The lighter stuff is metals, which are of a higher atomic weight.
That is incredible.
Now we're holding that electron beam right in that one spot and allowing it to produce X-rays.
So this is really interesting. We can start to see some things right now as we've zeroed in on this very bright area. And we see something here right away that's very, very important when you look at this graph. In fact, it's telling. This graph is as smooth as it gets, and he's only halfway through the sample. This is refined gold, so it's a man-made nugget. You're looking at 100% gold.
This is definitely not from Sutter's Mill.
Absolutely not. It's man-made, it's made from refined gold.
Well, I'm glad I came. That's not the answer I was looking for.
Pretty ring, just
Thank
not
you.
made from Mr. Sutter's gold. Thanks.
Scientific proof.
Thanks for using science.
After you, sir.
Thank you.
Age before, well, I don't want to say it.
Beauty.
In the open call, Dan brought in a medal from the World Expo in 1876.
Well, my great-great-grandfather was awarded this medal by the United States Centennial Commission. What I don't know is a whole lot of information about the exposition.
To learn more about the Centennial Exposition, we're at the Franklin Studios to meet with architect and historian Steve Brabson.
That is a serious medal. It's really exciting to actually see one in person.
Well, Steve, let me ask you a couple questions. I don't know much, and I don't think Dan knows that much either about the exposition of 1876. Tell us what that was all about.
And this had been a tradition of the rest of the world for quite some time. But this is the first time the Americans said, hey, we can do this as well. Alexander Graham Bell was in the main exhibit hall. Thomas Edison was there with 2 patents, 2 inventions, and he was creating an enormous buzz. And these were amazing events, and the rest of the world had caught wind of what was going on in America.
Tie this into Dan's great-great-grandfather. Do we know what he was involved in and why he would have received this medal?
Let's talk about the medal for a minute. There were many different kinds of medals at the World Exposition, but this is a special medal. This was actually an award which was presented by a jury of professionals.
How many of these were given out?
There were tens of thousands of exhibitors. The professionals awarded just a few people in each category these awards. So this is a big deal.
Awards were given in all kinds of categories, including arts, science, horticulture, and innovation in design.
Oh my.
Here are two of the buildings where great-great-grandfather worked on.
This is a photograph.
That's
I've
an
never
actual
seen that.
photograph. One of them is Memorial Hall, which at the time was just known as the Art Building. This housed a huge collection of art, including sculptures, paintings.
I've never seen this picture.
And it's also a really lovely building to look at.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So that's one building that he worked on. Another building is the main exhibition hall. Now, this at the time was the largest building in the world. 21 acres. This is pre-steel. This is cast iron, and this is wrought iron. They were making this stuff do acrobatics. It was not the heavy, clunky stuff that we think of as iron. This was a lacy, glass-filled space, and that's because these people knew how to work with this material. We don't, unfortunately, know exactly what he did, but we know that whatever he did was certainly significant.
I think it'd be hard to put a value on this. I mean, it obviously means a lot for us historically, and especially for you and your family.
This is a real treasure. It is.
Steve has really delivered with information about the medal and the expo, but without knowing Dan's ancestors' specific role, I just don't feel comfortable taking it into the finale.
Before you take off, I want to give you a couple copies of the building that your great-grandfather worked on as a memento of his great achievement.
Thank you so much.
I hope you learned something, because I know I did.
I did, yes. It's been just a great experience for me. I couldn't have asked for more. I mean, this was just a great surprise.
I'm back at the Autry National Center,
So this is the restricted access area, and
where I'm hoping Chief Conservator Richard Mall can tell me more about Kathy's incredible family heirloom.
My great-great-grandfather, he was a drummer in the Civil War. I'm really looking forward to finding out anything about it that we can.
I know this is your great-great-grandfather, your
Great-great-grandfather.
great-great-grandfathers, and so that puts it at a specific time.
Right.
There are other ways, however, to determine the time period when something was made. One of the ways we do that is by analyzing the pigments and the metal, and we would use an X-ray fluorescence analyzer, XRF, and it'll tell me exactly what the metal components are.
Are you going to tell us if the drum is on sale? That looks like a price scanner.
Now this actually produces radiation. So what I'm going to do is place the analyzer right over top of that bare metal. When I pull the trigger, the analyzer emits gamma radiation, exciting the electrons. When the electrons get excited, they go to a different place, and then they don't like it there. They come back, and when they come back, they give off a very specific signature.
I like that layman's terms breakdown, Richard. That's good.
And let's have a look. Wow.
What?
Okay, this is cool.
What is it? A lot of numbers.
Well, we have a lot of lead, some selenium. Oh, okay, you have some mercury. Mercury would probably be the red. Zinc, I would say the zinc is the metal that's underneath. You have copper. Copper, probably the metal, but could be involved in the browns. That's right in there, the red and the brown together. Iron, the drum itself, and manganese. Manganese they used in the formation of basic metals like steel and all.
So what does this mean as far as the age of the paint?
This would be consistent with the pigments that you would find in the Civil War era drawing. So far, everything's telling me that this thing's as old as we think it is.
That's great. That's what my family's always told me.
Well, I think in this case, your family is probably correct.
The analyzer has authenticated the age of the drum. It's great news, but Richard isn't done yet.
Oh, yes. Okay, some stamping of some kind.
Stamping?
Stamping of some kind going on right in here.
I've always wanted to find out what unit he was in the Civil War, and I don't know that.
And this might be able to tell you.
It could, I hope so.
Curt and I are in Los Angeles, California on the hunt for America's lost treasures. We've seen some pretty incredible items, but only one can be chosen for a special exhibit at the National Geographic Museum. And I might be onto something big.
Right there. You see that right there?
It's kind of hard to see.
There's something going on there.
Yes, I see that.
Going on there.
Conservator Richard Mall has already confirmed the materials in this drum date back to the Civil War. Now, we're going to take a closer look.
It looks like the formation of a letter.
Wow.
It's hard to tell at this point, and if we get in any closer, it'll be totally obscured. In other words, if we increase the magnification, we'll actually get less information.
Oh dear.
But you can tell that there is something going on.
Oh, it's looking to me like there's a 5 or a 6.
Hard to tell at this point. This is definitely something that you'll want to look into.
But if this drum was properly cleaned and preserved, maybe that would be more easily identified then.
You should be able to get more information as you clean this. It becomes a question, how much do you want to clean it?
Right, yeah. That's
Because
a hard decision to make.
And that's the decision that conservators make every single day. How much do you clean it before it actually changes what you've got here?
Right. So close and yet so far.
And it's ever thus. It's always that last piece of information because we're talking history.
Yes.
This is exciting. Kathy's got a clue that will help clear up a long-standing family mystery. And I have an authentic Civil War artifact that just might drum up a victory for me.
Let the bone talk to you. And stop before you get under it. See, and you're outlining the edge there.
I invited paleontologist Larry Barnes to join me at Sharktooth Hill, where Lisa and her family found this incredible marine fossil.
I'd like to know what species it is of dolphin and get a date as well.
There, hear it? Yep.
That's a good size one, too.
Yeah, that's a nice dude. Look at the color on that. Beautiful. See the back color on it?
Well, there you go. You got it loose.
That is the hook-toothed mako.
Yeah.
It's Icerus planus. It's an extinct species of mako shark. You have in your hand a fair sample of the species that are in this deposit.
This is great, and I could do this for years and years.
You don't get tired of it, that's for sure.
It's exciting. But you know what? There's another reason why we're here, and I'd love to have you take a look at this other fossil that we have.
Absolutely.
How far outside of Bakersfield, California are we? We're up in the hills.
About 12 miles out of town.
Yeah, about that.
We're sitting in hills that are made entirely of ocean-laid sediment from many hundreds of feet below us and several hundred feet above us as well. The ocean was here from about 21 million years ago until about 8 or 9 million years ago. And the shoreline was back at the Sierra Nevada, which is about 4 miles east of us here.
When you take a look at this, what's the first thing you notice and why?
First off, when I see this, it's definitely a dolphin skull. Wow. It's a bit narrow through the eyes. The nostrils are quite small. And this area right here, which is where an air sac sits that they used to echolocate, that area is quite wide. This side is bigger than that side. See that?
Yeah. Yes.
That is
very intriguing.
This is like nerds gone wild.
Yeah.
Okay, I have never seen a dolphin skull like this in museum collections where I've studied and traveled. This one is different. What I see here is that the eyes are quite small and they're rather angled forward.
So wait a minute, you're telling us that you've never seen this species before?
I've never seen this species of dolphin skull in the fossil record before. So
That's
this is something
great.
new. We have to find out if there are ear bones with this skull.
This dig site is phenomenal, and Dr. Barnes is so impressed with this dolphin skull that he's inviting us back to his lab at the LA County Museum of Natural History. Wow, look at this.
This is our preparation laboratory.
This is great. Where he's got the team and the tools to help him take a closer look. All right, so Larry, what do we have here?
Well, we don't know quite yet exactly what this is, but now we can actually see the bottom of the brain case. We're going to take this skull and we're going to compare it to some other skulls we have that are from the same deposit and see how it relates to those.
80 years ago, Dr. Remington Kellogg published 10 new species of dolphin found right here at Sharktooth Hill. But because he couldn't always find a complete skull, he he identified each new species by the unique shape of their ear bones. Paleontologists like Dr. Barnes have picked up where Kellogg left off, trying to match the ear bones with the appropriate skulls.
Now, it turns out this is one of the species that was named by Dr. Kellogg in 1931. And I actually found this particular pariotic sitting right there underneath the basic cranium. Now, what's really nice is that it fits right in place in the skull. That's what we look for, is a fit that's that nice.
If Dr. Barnes can match an ear bone to Lisa's skull, it puts us one step closer to knowing what we have.
Question is, would one of these ear bones either be found in the sediment with your skull, or would one of them actually fit well inside the skull? That's the question.
What's the answer?
We've just started looking at the skull that Lisa found and comparing it with the other specimens from the shark tooth tail bone bed.
If Dr. Barnes can match one of these ear bones to Lisa's skull, it will help identify the species.
This is nanolithax, which means the small stone. This is a very rare species of dolphin. These are the only two ear bones of this species that I have in the collections.
Do we have skulls for those ear bones?
No. That is a good question. That's a good question.
Does it fit? Does it fit?
I'm at the LA County Museum of Natural History, where I'm hoping paleontologist Larry Barnes will tell me that this fossilized dolphin skull is a rare specimen.
There we get a bit of a fit.
Oh yeah, that does. That looks like that fits in there. Do you want to see that, Lisa?
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
And this is one species that we've not ever found a skull for. So all along, I've had a hunch that this might be the animal. Now, if we should find one of these ears in the sediment still, then we have the true evidence.
So I just want to nail this down. We either have nanolithax or
something new.
Something new. Yes. Unbelievable. Lisa's fossil is either incredibly rare or an entirely new species. Dr. Barnes and his team are going to keep researching, but either way, I've got a winner.
This animal is globally significant to science.
Wow, that's great.
At the open call, Dorinda brought in a fascinating piece of her family history.
They're Indian stickball sticks. They were used to settle disputes.
I'm hoping the curators here at the Chumash Indian Museum will be able to tell us more. Well, so these are Dorinda's items passed down to you from your grandfather.
These are game sticks from the stickball game played by the southeastern tribes.
So we're talking Cherokee.
Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Muskogee, or what commonly is called Creek, all played the game. It was called the little brother of war because it was the same things that the young warriors were trained to do if they were going to war. It was a pretty rough game. I always like to say it's a little bit like hockey without the skates and without the ice.
So there weren't a lot of contact rules.
No. A lot of people, it was very serious. People actually died. It was ferocious. They would do all kinds of ceremony. They were not allowed to eat certain foods. For example, they couldn't eat rabbit because rabbit is easily confused and runs around. So they didn't want to have that medicine.
That energy.
Exactly. They couldn't eat frog because frog has brittle bones, so they didn't want their bones to break. It was serious business.
So how were they made? I mean, is this like do they put it in boiling water or did they put it in a fire to heat it up?
No, they don't. What they do is they cut this when it's green.
Oh.
They peel all of the bark off of it while it's still pliable. And then you get in the shape that you want, you tie it down, and then it's put out to dry, and it dries.
I would love to see the game played. I bet Dorinda would as
I have
well.
someone, a gentleman, Brandon, who's Cherokee from Oklahoma, who is going to show us how to do it.
Can Dorinda and I play?
Absolutely.
All right.
Dear.
We can take them.
I got some players.
Yeah.
This is Kinga. Okay.
Are we going to actually use these sticks?
They've been sitting in my closet for 30 years, so I think we should try them, don't you?
Absolutely.
How about boys are headed that way and then girls are on this side? I'll pretend I'm the medicine man today, and I'll throw it up as high as I can, and as soon as it gets on the ground, that means the game's starting. So by getting your little ball to hit the pole, that'll be a point. Here we go. Oh, there it is.
Oh, Alfred got it.
Nice, Alfred. Go for it.
Wait, how do you block people?
You have to tackle them.
You go that way, I go this way.
Whoa.
Here we go.
All right. I gotcha. Take it.
I think my grandfather would be most proud of me. He always kind of denied his Indian heritage. And I always wanted to know more about it. And so I'm so blessed that he gave these to me and kept them in the family.
That was a blast. And our experts say these sticks could be worth as much as $3,000. But I can only present one item to National Geographic. And I'm gonna go with the Civil War drum.
At the open call, Christian brought in a beautiful writing tablet that he claims is connected to two iconic American artists.
Jack London became famous for writing the book Call of the Wild, and Arthur Putnam was a famous animal sculptor. So when he wrote the book, Arthur Putnam carved this for Jack London.
I am about to meet with Jamie Corbacho, and I really hope she can tell me everything that Christian told me is true. Hi, Jamie, how are you?
Hi, Curt, how are you doing?
Well,
Good to see you.
You too.
Good to see you.
Christian Chafee brought this in. We think it was made by Arthur Putnam, the sculptor, and given to Jack London.
Great. Well, I didn't get a real good chance to look at this at the open call. Arthur Putnam was a turn of the 20th century sculptor. He was an animalier, which is somebody who specializes in sculpting animals.
So is there any way to tell what kind of wood this is?
Yes, this is actually California redwood.
And how do you tell that?
Just by the grain. This is also a good indication if you ever look at a redwood. You can see the red in it more from the side.
Okay, I see how that works. Okay, so we don't have a signature of his on here, but we've got this sculpture that, you know, we can identify as hopefully an Arthur Putnam. Do we have other examples of this? I mean, because honestly, I mean, he could be saying it's anybody's, really. I'm in Los Angeles, California, hoping appraiser Jamie Corbacho can tell me that this writing tablet really was made by famous sculptor Arthur Putnam for his friend Jack London. Do we have other examples of this? I mean, because honestly, I mean, he could be saying it's anybody's, really.
I've been looking at some images of Arthur Putnam.
Okay. And these are mostly sculptures in bronze that he's done?
Exactly, and they're going to be mostly of animals. So as you can see in this one
look
here,
at that. Yep,
it's almost the exact pose.
Yeah, it is.
And then here's one stretching. But again, you can see in the face and the eyes, the lines are very similar.
Yeah, nice.
Another good thing is that there's been a lot of corroboration with the fact that he and Jack London were friends. One of Arthur Putnam's descendants actually has a letter from Jack London to Arthur Putnam referencing a stay that he had at Jack London's place. So,
we know that they're friends.
Exactly.
All these little pieces of this puzzle come together to corroborate the story that Christian told me.
It kind of captures a friendship between two very talented people.
It's decision day in Los Angeles, and Curt and I can each present just one item to National Geographic. My Civil War drum is too good to pass up. But before I head to the finale, I've got to let Lorraine know that her gold nugget ring just didn't pan out.
I know the big question that you had is, are these nuggets from Sutter's Mill?
Yes.
We found out they did not come from a riverbed. They did not come from Sutter's Mill. These were actually crafted to look like natural nuggets, but they're not.
I see.
Dang, I have to tell you, I was really disappointed.
Oh, I am too, but it's still a beautiful piece of jewelry.
Even without any association to Sutter, this ring is worth about $500.
Excellent.
You could wear it proudly.
Thank you. I think that the drum will be a wonderful thing for history.
I am so excited that my drum could be in the National Geographic Museum. It would mean the world to me.
This is one of my toughest decisions yet. The Jack London writing tablet is incredible, but I just got word back from Dr. Barnes that Lisa's dolphin fossil is in fact a brand new species. It's a discovery of global significance, and I've got to take it to the finale.
I hope my dolphin skull gets chosen today.
That'd be so great. Now, it's time to find out which item will be chosen for display at the National Geographic Museum.
There it is. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Well, we have two amazing objects here, but of course, only one of them can go on display to the National Geographic Museum in Washington, D.C.
Now, the owner of the chosen item will get a chance to share their lost treasure with the world.
And it is always a weight off mine and Curt's shoulders that we don't have to make this decision alone. We have Catherine Kane here from the National Geographic Society to help us do that. Well, Catherine, I would like for you to meet Kathy Dudley. Kathy. And this is Kathy's Civil War drum. This was owned by her great-great-grandfather who actually played it during the Civil War. So Kathy and I had the opportunity to meet with the chief conservator here at the Autry Center, and judging by the craftsmanship and then the analysis of the materials that it's made of, and of course the wear and tear on it, he decided that this absolutely dates back to the Civil War era. So he was able to authenticate it for us.
Impressive. Very impressive.
Catherine, this is Sean and Lisa Tohill. Not too long ago, Lisa dug up herself this dolphin skull. The age of this is from about 15.5 million years old. So we brought out paleontologist Larry Barnes, and he got so excited. Some of the things that he noticed about this skull he had never seen before. So we took it in to the LA County Museum of Natural History, and we have discovered an entirely new species of dolphin that has never been seen before. We not only discovered history, but I think we made history.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, Curt.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, and this is certainly big news. These two artifacts are so different. I wish that I could have them both, but unfortunately it's my job to choose one. And the artifact that I'm going to choose to include in our special exhibition is the dolphin skull. This dolphin skull fossil is so extraordinary and really historic. So I think we have a wonderful opportunity with that artifact to tell the prehistoric story of this country.
Curt, I have to say congratulations. That was a really interesting find.
It was phenomenal. You know, if you had been able to come out to the quarry, you would have loved it. It was amazing. You would have won.
I would have, but I didn't.
Nope.
It's original.